Good evening, everyone. We are just taking a few moments to admit participants from the waiting room. We will be starting in just a few minutes. We kindly ask that you update your Zoom name to the name that you registered with so our team can easily identify you for the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. Everyone has been placed on mute. Please note that we will walk participants through a phone and Zoom overview after the hearing is opened. Please email june@carpstrategies.com for help with technical issues. American Sign Language interpreters will be available for the duration of this hearing. Good evening, everyone. We are just taking a few moments to admit participants from the waiting room. We will be starting in just a few minutes. We kindly ask that you update your name on Zoom to the name you registered with, so our team can easily identify you for the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. Everyone has been placed on mute. Please note that we will walk participants through a phone and Zoom overview after the hearing has opened. Please email june@carpstrategies.com for help with technical issues. American Sign Language interpreters will be available for the duration of this hearing. Good evening, everyone. We are just taking a few moments to admit participants from the waiting room. We will be starting in just a few minutes. We kindly ask that you update your name on Zoom to the name you registered with, so our team can easily identify you for the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. Everyone has been placed on mute. Please note that we will walk participants through a phone and Zoom overview after the hearing has opened. Please email june@carpstrategies.com for help with technical issues. American Sign Language interpreters will be available for the duration of this hearing. Good evening, everyone. We are just taking a few moments to admit participants from the waiting room. We will be starting in just a few minutes. We kindly ask that you update your name on Zoom to the name you registered with, so our team can easily identify you for the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. Everyone has been placed on mute. Please note that we will walk participants through a phone and Zoom overview after the hearing has opened. Please email june@carpstrategies.com for help with technical issues. American Sign Language interpreters will be available for the duration of this hearing. Good evening and welcome to the virtual draft environmental impact statement and general project plan public hearing for the Creedmoor mixed-use project. This hearing is a continuation of the hearing held on Thursday, January 30th. Thank you for joining. Welcome. My name is Kyle Beyer of CARP Strategies, a community engagement consultant hired by the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development, also referred to as ESD, to conduct this public hearing continuation. Tonight, I am joined on screen by Bob Tuttle, Assistant Vice President of Real Estate Development and Planning at Empire State Development, Michael Goldenberg, Senior Project Manager at VHB, Linda and Angie, American Sign Language interpreters from American Language Services. We are joined off-screen by representatives from the project team who will be listening to the comments. Thank you all for joining us. Today's public hearing continuation for the Creedmoor mixed-use project is being held pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, and the New York State Urban Development Corporation Act. The purpose of this hearing is to present to the public and give the public an opportunity to make comments on the draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, and the general project plan, or GPP, for ESD's proposed project. My purpose is to run the hearing in a fair and impartial manner, and to try to make sure everyone who wishes to comment on the DEIS and GPP has an adequate opportunity to do so during this hearing, as time will permit. All members of the public can also comment via written submission, which will be explained shortly. In addition to this online hearing, these proceedings are being recorded for future viewing on the ESD website, and a stenographic transcript of this meeting is being made. By participating in this hearing, you are granting permission to have your name, voice, and likeness recorded. The full recording of this meeting, along with a copy of the full transcript, will be made available on ESD's website, esd.ny.gov/Creedmoor. At this time, I'd like to share a few housekeeping notes before we begin. This slide contains instructions for optimizing your viewing experience for those joining tonight's hearing on a computer. Please follow the instructions for either a PC or MacBook. I will pause for about 20 seconds. This slide contains instructions for optimizing your viewing experience for those joining tonight's hearing on a phone. Please follow the instructions for either an Android or Apple device. We'll pause for another 20 seconds. This slide contains instructions for those who wish to view the hearing with an American Sign Language interpretation. Please refer to the instructions based on whether you've joined tonight's hearing by a computer or phone. I will pause for another 20 seconds to allow participants to pin the ASL interpreter as needed. Once again, this meeting is a continuation of the public hearing held on Thursday, January 30th. The purpose of this hearing is to give the public an opportunity to make comments about Empire State Development's draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, and general project plan, or GPP, for the proposed project. The presentations by ESD and VHB will provide the same information that was provided during the January 30th hearing. Please note that verbal comments received during the hearing on January 30th have been recorded and will be considered and responded to in the same manner as those comments received during the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. This is not a question and answer session. It is instead an opportunity for you to present your views so that ESD can consider them in preparing the final environmental impact statement, or FEIS, and in affirming or modifying the GPP. If you signed up to speak before tonight's hearing during the registration process, we have your name and you will be called during the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. If you did not sign up to speak before the start of the hearing, but would like to speak, please identify yourself using the raise hand function on Zoom. If you are joining by phone only, you may dial *6 to indicate your desire to provide verbal testimony during the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. Participants using the raise hand function or *6 will be added to the end of the speaker list in the order in which they raised their hand or press *6. Once you've spoken, we will lower your hand. Speakers will be identified by their name or by the last 3 digits of their phone number. The option to sign up to speak will end near the close of the hearing at 7:45 p.m. I will give you 20 seconds to read the instructions before I move on. We will review these instructions once more before the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing, and they will be posted in the Zoom chat. Aside from verbal comments made during tonight's hearing, comments may also be submitted in writing after the hearing via email to creedmooreis@esd.ny.gov or sent via U.S. Postal Service to Empire State Development, attention Vanessa Calazer, 655 3rd Avenue, 4th floor, New York, New York, 10017. Comments must be received by the end of the comment period, which is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, April 18th. We will review these instructions once more before the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing, if you need to take note of these addresses or instructions again. Before we begin the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing, we will hear from Bob Tuttle from Empire State Development on the public approval process and proposed project, and then from Michael Goldenberg of VHB about the environmental analysis.
Thanks, Kyle. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining tonight's public hearing continuation. I'm Bob Tuttle. I'm the project manager for the Creedmoor mixed-use project, and I'm in the Real Estate Development and Planning Division of Empire State Development. Tonight, I'll be walking everyone through the proposed project. But before that, I want to take a moment to discuss the purpose of tonight's hearing and the process this project is following. The purpose of this public hearing continuation is to describe and receive comments on the general project plan and the draft environmental impact statement for the Creedmoor mixed-use project. I'll begin with an explanation of the GPP, which will be followed by Michael providing an explanation of the DEIS. The proposed project is a land use improvement project under the Urban Development Corporation Act. The UDC Act, through the GPP, authorizes ESD to override New York City zoning. In lieu of zoning, ESD will establish design guidelines for the project. The design guidelines will govern development of the project, including site planning, land uses, densities and floor area, building heights and setbacks, parking and loading, and open space. The GPP contains general information about the project and purpose and need for the project, an explanation of the anticipated site acquisition and development process, an explanation of the proposed zoning override, and ESD's environmental review process under SECRA. The New York City Department of City Planning has been advised of and has given input on the draft design guidelines for the project. ESD will continue to consult with NYC Planning as the project advances. The comments received here tonight, along with those received during the public hearing on January 30th, and those that are submitted throughout the comment period, will be considered and responded to in the final environmental impact statement, and will be considered in the recommendations made to the ESD directors for affirmation or modification of the GPP. Now, here's the process we're following for this project. Beginning in January 2023, ESD hosted a series of workshops with over 600 attendees and met with more than 40 local organizations to gather input on the future of Creedmoor campus. This outreach shaped the Creedmoor Community Master Plan that was released in December of 2023. And in the first half of 2024, ESD met with neighborhood civic associations to hear their feedback on the master plan. In July 2024, the draft scope of work was prepared, which is the document that explains what will be analyzed in the environmental impact statement. There was a scoping meeting, similar to tonight's public hearing continuation, where the public had an opportunity to comment on the draft scope of work. In December 2024, we held our first Community Advisory Committee meeting, also known as a CAC. The CAC consists of community advocates, representatives of community institutions, and technical experts. At that meeting, ESD discussed the project with the members and received their feedback. The CAC will continue to meet as the project phases advance, and its meetings are open to the public. Also last December, we released the final scope of work, which incorporates comments the public provided on the draft scope of work and includes a response to comments where every comment received from the public is responded to by ESD. We also presented the GPP and DEIS to the ESD directors and published those materials for public review. On January 30th, ESD held a DEIS and GPP public hearing, and tonight's GPP and DEIS hearing is a continuation of the January 30th hearing. The comment period for people who would like to provide written comments or leave a voicemail is open until April 18th of 2025. In the second or third quarter of this year, the final environmental impact statement is expected to be completed, and that will be followed by an ESD directors meeting to adopt the SECRA findings and affirm or modify the general project plan. With an understanding of the purpose of tonight's hearing, let's take a step back to discuss why this project was initiated in the first place. I'll take a moment to share housing information that was presented to the CAC and the ESD directors when it adopted the GPP and certified the DEIS into public review. Between 2021 and 2023, the city added over 60,000 homes. However, the city's vacancy rate fell to its lowest level since 1968. Citywide, the vacancy rate was 1.4%, and in Queens, it was 0.9%. That rate is significantly lower than the 4.5% vacancy rate in 2021 and the 3.6% vacancy rate in 2017, which was the last survey taken before COVID. And for a little perspective, a housing emergency in New York City is defined as a vacancy rate below 5%. From an income perspective, New Yorkers earning below $200,000 a year don't have access to the majority of rental units on the market without becoming rent burdened. Looking more locally, over the last 10 years, 60 affordable housing units have been built within the council district in which Creedmoor is located, which places this district 49th of the 51 districts in production of affordable housing. On the homeownership side, homes in low-density zoning districts, like this one, have become substantially more expensive. In these types of neighborhoods, the median sales price in 2023 was $700,000, which is a 79% increase from 2010. What this means for New Yorkers is that those who choose to stay in the city and rent are more often than not severely rent burdened, and those that want to become homeowners are often priced out of the market. This project is an opportunity to help deliver on Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature's 2024 budget and associated legislation to address the city and state's housing crisis by increasing the housing supply and creating affordable housing opportunities. With that as some context, let's take a look at the proposed project. The project site is located in the eastern section of Queens. It's largely bordered by Hillside Avenue to the south, Winchester Boulevard to the west, Union Turnpike to the north, and a mix of public and private properties, along with 240th Street to the east. Due to changes in how services are provided by the New York State Office of Mental Health and the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, these state agencies have consolidated their operations, and a portion of the campus has become underutilized. However, both agencies continue to bear the financial and administrative burdens of securing and maintaining these vacant and deteriorating buildings. And the surrounding neighborhoods have a large, underutilized, and gated area within their community. This underutilized area is our project site. The site is approximately 59 acres within the 125-acre Creedmoor campus. The remaining approximately 66 acres will continue to provide patient services and be operated by OMH and OPWDD. The proposed project would develop the project site from a gated and underutilized campus into a mixed-use community with visual and physical connections to better integrate the project site with the adjacent neighborhoods. The project would include much-needed mixed-income housing, public and private open space, community amenities, and neighborhood retail. The project would also include infrastructure improvements, such as upgrades to the sewer, water, and roadway network. Redevelopment of the project site would also address environmental and safety conditions caused by the site's previous uses and deteriorating building stock. In addition to housing, amenities, and infrastructure, the project would further the state's commitment to minority and women-owned business enterprises by creating access to jobs and contracting opportunities during the planning and construction phases of the project. Redevelopment of the project site would provide a range of housing options, including affordable rental and affordable and market rate homeownership opportunities. Affordable housing would be a mix of studio to three-bedroom units. Some of the affordable housing would include wraparound services to support the needs of seniors, individuals contending with mental illness, and our nation's veterans. Homeownership and rental units would be interspersed throughout the project site. The housing building types would include multifamily buildings, triplexes, and semi-detached homes. Also interspersed throughout the site, the project envisioned space for community facilities, which would include older adult centers, an early childhood education center, and a community recreation center. Additionally, the project includes space for small-scale retail to help meet some of the retail needs in the area and to create jobs. A public school is also envisioned as part of this project. It would be built as the need for additional school capacity and funding is identified by the city's Department of Education and School Construction Authority. The site would include an extensive amount of public and private open space. The most prominent public open space would be in the center of the site. Other open space, which would be spread throughout the site, would be a mix of passive spaces for relaxing and active spaces such as playgrounds and recreational courts. Private open spaces would include front and backyards for semi-detached homes and triplexes, and rooftop terraces for many of the multifamily buildings. The proposed project would include parking structures at the base of many of the multifamily homeownership and rental buildings. It would also include 2 parking garages and 2 surface parking lots. There would also be driveways for semi-detached homes and street parking as part of the new roadway network. The majority of existing buildings on the project site are between 55 and 78 feet tall. The design of the proposed project places 2-story, or approximately 20-foot high, semi-detached homes on the eastern portion of the site, which is nearest to the existing residences to the east. Behind these semi-detached homes, and more interior to the project site, would be 3-story, or approximately 30-foot high triplexes. Before reaching buildings, they would be 4 to 8 stories, or approximately 45 to 85 feet. Housing with frontage on hillside would be 4 stories, or approximately 45 foot high, before rising to between 5 and 8 stories on the project site's interior blocks. From Union Turnpike in the north, which is further from existing housing and nearest the 20-story or 273-foot tall Creedmoor Psychiatric Center, Building heights would be between 4 and 8 stories, which again is approximately 45 to 85 feet. The proposed project is planned to be a phased development. Phases A through F would involve development, such as housing and infrastructure, and Phase G would be upgrades to OMH's street network to comply with New York City DOT standards. In addition to ensuring that population growth is incremental, the phasing strategy spreads the use of state and city subsidy over multiple capital budget plans. We anticipate that the first phase would be along Hillside Avenue and that it would consist of approximately 350 housing units and break ground in 2027. And here's a look at the proposed project by the numbers. Please note that these numbers are approximate. The residential housing units would include 1,526 homeownership units and 1,249 rental units. The rental units would be a mix of 393 units dedicated to affordable senior housing, 428 units of affordable supportive housing, and 428 units of affordable rental housing. 76,000 square feet would be for neighborhood retail, 194,600 square feet for community facility space, with 50,000 square feet for a recreation center, 16,500 square feet for older adult centers, 8,100 square feet for an early childhood education center, and 120,000 square foot public school. There would be 3,200 parking spaces distributed amongst garages, surface lots, driveways, and street parking, and 12 acres of open space, of which 5 acres would be publicly accessible. This concludes the portion of tonight's presentation detailing the proposed project. Again, thank you for your participation, and we look forward to your comments. I'll now turn it over to Michael Goldenberg with ESD's consultant team conducting the environmental analysis, and he'll explain more about the draft environmental impact statement. Michael?
Thank you, Bob. Hello and good evening. My name is Michael Goldenberg with VHB, and we are supporting ESD's environmental review efforts. As Bob mentioned, I will be spending a few minutes summarizing the key aspects of the draft environmental impact statement, which was published on December 19th, 2024, and is available for review and comment. The proposed project is a Type 1 action per the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, with ESD as the lead agency. The draft environmental impact statement was prepared to assess potential environmental impacts of the proposed actions, present mitigation measures for identified significant adverse impacts, and explore alternatives that may avoid or reduce potential impacts. Development of the proposed project is anticipated to occur in several phases, with the first phase beginning in 2027 and the final phase completing in 2040. Therefore, the build year that was analyzed in the EIS is 2040. The proposed actions associated with this project include approval of a general project plan, acquisition and disposition of the project site, potential state or city funding and/or financing, future action to map roadways within the project site as city streets. Over the next few slides, I will review the technical analyses conducted and summarize their key findings. Since the proposed project is located in New York City, ESD, as the lead agency for the preparation of the EIS, has followed the guidance, methodologies, and thresholds presented in the New York City Environmental Quality Review, or CEQR, Technical Manual. For the technical areas shown on this slide, ESD has conducted detailed analyses which are described in the draft EIS. The 5 technical areas that are shown in green are those areas where the proposed project was found to have a significant adverse impact, which I will explain next. These detailed analyses led to the determination that once the proposed project is fully constructed and implemented, it could result in significant adverse impacts as well as temporary impacts in some areas. First, I will discuss significant adverse impacts, followed by a discussion of temporary impacts. Significant adverse impacts to the following resources include: based on the project's new residents, the proposed project would result in a significant adverse impact to public libraries. Direct impact to historic architectural resources related to the loss of buildings and copper-covered walkways. The project would also result in contextual impacts to nearby historic resources. Traffic delays. Additionally, during the construction period, there could be temporary significant adverse impacts as follows: temporary impact on early childhood programs due to the increased population until the proposed on-site childcare facility is operational. This impact would occur between the start of construction of Phase B in approximately 2029 and the completion of Phase C in 2033. Temporary shortfall in open space during the construction of Phase B, which would last until all active open space resources on the project site are in operation at full project build-out. Traffic delays during the construction period and construction noise at several receptor locations. Based on these findings, as presented in the draft EIS, ESD is exploring potential mitigation measures to address these impacts. Potential mitigation measures to address libraries will be explored with the Queens Public Library. To mitigate the potential child care center impact, ESD is exploring a phasing modification to include the proposed child care center in an earlier phase of construction, Phase B instead of Phase C. Potential open space mitigation is also being considered. Currently, ESD is in consultation with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation to identify suitable mitigation measures for the adverse effect to architectural resources. Partial mitigation measures may include reuse of historic buildings or elements of structures, a construction protection plan, or on-site interpretive displays or signage. The EIS identifies traffic capacity improvements such as signal phasing and timing changes that would be implemented by the New York City Department of Transportation, or NYC DOT. These measures will not fully mitigate all traffic delays. For construction traffic, several intersections would remain unmitigated as detailed in the construction chapter of the DEIS. To mitigate construction noise, possible mitigation measures could include noise barriers and prohibition of pile driving to the extent practicable. ESD evaluated 4 alternatives to the proposed project. These include the no action alternative, which is basically what the project site would be in the future if the proposed project did not occur. The no action alternative serves as a baseline of comparison for analysis presented in the DEIS. While the no action alternative would not result in any significant adverse impacts, it would not meet the purpose and need of the proposed project. The lower density alternative considers a program that would result in fewer dwelling units than the proposed project while maintaining the proposed non-residential uses. The Union Access alternative considers an additional access point, an exit and entry to the project site from Union Turnpike. Both alternatives are anticipated to result in similar impacts to that of the proposed project. Finally, the no unmitigated impacts alternative considers development that would eliminate the proposed project's unmitigated significant adverse impacts. Here is another look at the process and timeline that has been followed, which Bob discussed earlier. As mentioned earlier, tonight's GPP and DEIS public hearing continuation will be followed by a 30-day comment period for people that would like to provide written comments or leave a voicemail.
Thank you, Bob and Michael. As we begin the verbal comment portion of this public hearing continuation, we are joined by the following elected officials and a representative of the community board who have asked to address the hearing. Queensborough President Donovan Richards and Queens Community Board 13 Representative Corey Barrick. First, I would like to call up Queensborough President Donovan Richards. Next, I would like to call up Queens Community Board 13 Representative Corey Barrick. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
I'm ready. Do you need me to add my video or no?
If it's up to you, your decision.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't allow me to start it, so it's okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Yep, go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you. Queens Community Board 13 stands by its January 30 demand that Empire State Development immediately withdraw its general project plan for its Creedmoor mixed-use project and replace it with the Queens Community Board 13 community plan to build no more than 1,000 new housing units on the approximately 59-acre site. ESD's failure to include consideration of the plan that Queens Community Board 13, well, you asked that I start my videos. Let me hit that. Queens Community Board, okay. ESD's failure to include consideration of the plan that Queens Community Board 13 and the community strongly and smartly recommend no more than 1,000 units and no supportive housing for this project demonstrates a total lack of consideration of the best needs of our community. 1,000 units provide the proper amount of density for this site in our Eastern Queens community. To date, this scheme fails to follow the July 18th, 2024 comments that Queens Community Board 13 submitted on the DSAL and for the DIS. Queens Community Board 13 testified that following ESD's release of the DSAL, the community's civic leaders met with the community board leaders and found a scheme barely changed from the misnamed Creedmoor Community Master Plan released the previous winter that failed to follow the community recommendations. Queens Community Board 13 continues to emphasize ESD's failure to include our community plan as a study alternative as part of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act CEQA process. As a result, ESD wrongly seeks to impose a grossly out-of-scale project for this community and also impose additional supportive housing that would exacerbate existing oversaturation of supportive housing in Queens Community Board 13. This testimony also incorporates by reference and links all prior Community Board 13 resolutions from June 2024, January 2024, and March 2023, testimonies January 2025 and July 2024, and commentaries in Q&S on September 2023, and in city limits on July 2024, and its letter to ESD. No plan to develop this Creedmoor site can ultimately be realized without the support of Queens Community Board 13 and its community. Queens Community Board 13 once again demands that ESD cease all activity with respect to its scheme and instead collaborate with Queens Community Board 13 and the community to actualize and develop the Queens Community Board 13 community plan. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. We will now move to public testimony. This slide contains instructions for those who wish to view the hearing with American Sign Language interpretation. Please refer to the instructions based on whether you've joined tonight's hearing by computer or phone. I will pause for 20 seconds to allow participants to pin the ASL interpreter as needed. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, if you signed up to speak during the registration process, your name has already been recorded. If you did not sign up to speak before the start of tonight's public hearing continuation, but would like to speak, please identify yourself using the raise hand function on Zoom. Instructions for this are being shown on your screen right now and can be found in the Zoom chat. If you are joining by phone only, you may dial *6 to indicate your desire to provide testimony. Participants using the raise hand function or *6 will be added to the end of the speaker list. Once you've spoken, we will lower your hand. The option to sign up to speak will end near the close of the hearing at 7:45 p.m. As a courtesy, elected officials who join us during this time will be able to provide comment upon request. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to assure that everyone gets a chance to provide their comments here tonight. I want to remind you that the purpose of this public hearing continuation is to afford you an opportunity to make comments about the DEIS or GPP. This is not a question and answer session. Finally, this meeting is a continuation of the public hearing held on Thursday, January 30th. Please note that verbal comments received during the hearing on Thursday, January 30th have already been recorded and will be considered and responded to in the same manner as those comments received during the verbal comment portion of tonight's hearing. I'll begin by calling the names of those who have registered to speak, or the last 3 digits of your phone number if you are using a telephone dial-in option and not the Zoom app. Now, please listen carefully for instructions on the verbal comment process. When your name or the last 3 digits of your phone number are called, you will have the option to share your video when you speak and will be prompted to unmute yourself. We will make sure you are ready before starting the time clock. Before you begin to speak, please state your name and affiliation for the record. If you are appearing as a representative of an organization or governmental entity, please identify the organization or entity. We ask that speakers exercise civil conduct during their testimony. Speakers using inappropriate language will be muted and cautioned before being allowed to continue. When 3 minutes have passed, you will be muted and your video will be shut off to allow for the next speaker, and you will be invited to send any remaining comments to ESD's mailing or email address. The first 5 speakers will be Eric Hutchinson, Arlene Schlesinger, Philip Mitropoulos, Mark McMillan, and Paul Buciolano. The first speaker is Eric Hutchinson. Please let me know when you are ready to speak. The next speaker is Arlene Schlesinger. Please let me know when you are ready to speak.
Good evening. My name is Arlene Schlesinger, and I represent the Hollis Hills Civic Association, and once again strongly oppose the current master plan of 3,000 housing units, including a large portion of supportive housing. While responsible development is needed, this plan is excessive, irresponsible, and unsustainable for our community. We urge a scaled-down plan of 1,000 units aligned with the density of the existing co-op developments to ensure responsible growth without overwhelming our neighborhood. The proposal mentions that a school and a medical facility may be included. That is unacceptable. Just this month, despite having top-tier insurance, my husband sat in North Shore Hospital's emergency hallway for 36 hours waiting for a bed. This community cannot support thousands of additional residents without guaranteed infrastructure. The plan prioritizes market rate condos for sale before supportive housing, contradicting its own mission to address a housing crisis as soon as possible. If supportive housing comes first, who would invest in a luxury townhouse in a development like this? Additionally, activist groups pushing for this project protested in front of the wrong part of Creedmoor, proving they don't even know the area. Empire State Development falsely claims that this project was shaped by community input. Most residents were still not properly notified. I have almost 5,000 signatures asking ESD not to do this. Non-speaking English residents were excluded, many who are not tech savvy enough to be on a Zoom. The organizations like Industrial Area Foundations and Queen's Power do not represent the longtime residents who built this community into what it is. This is a developer-driven project, not community engagement. District 26 schools are already over capacity. This project would bring approximately 1,500 new students without adding new schools. Traffic congestion and street parking would worsen dramatically. Sewer and drainage systems and electric grid cannot handle this type of density. You couldn't even supply the tents with proper water and had to use fire hydrants as a water supply. Supportive housing requires additional on-site security, and no plan has yet been provided. Please share the environmental impact study as soon as possible. We're not against development. We are against reckless overdevelopment. Provide new housing while preserving neighborhood character, prevent school and infrastructure collapse, ensure adequate public safety resources, limit environmental damage and traffic congestion. The Creedmoor plan as proposed is too dense and will cause irreversible harm to our community. Unless ESD scales down this project down to 1,000 units, it must not move forward. Yes, it may be underutilized. Let's utilize it wisely. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Philip Metropoulos. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Taking a pass today on speaking.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
No, Kyle, I think he's not going to be speaking.
Oh, sorry. Thanks.
okay.
Okay, the next speaker is Mark McMillan. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Paul Luciano. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next 5 speakers will be Rhonda Paulin, William Chuber, James Trent, Carl Adair, and Veronica Hussein Spencer. Please prepare to speak. As a reminder, please begin by stating your first and last name and affiliation for the record. The next speaker is Rhonda Paulin. The next speaker is William Chuber. The next speaker is James Trent.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can't seem to get the video part to work. Anyway, I signed up as a private citizen, but I start the video over here. Hold on a second.
Your 3
And I
minutes
have deep
starts
roots
now.
in this community.
Your 3
And I
minutes
have deep
starts
roots
now.
in this community. I'm an officer of Creedmoor Civic Association, Queens Civic Congress. I'm one of the incorporators and developed the original master plan concept for Queens Civic Congress, indicating that Creedmoor Hospital should be treated as an extension of the Eastern Queens Greenbelt. I'm also the president of the Four Borough Neighborhood Preservation Alliance, president and founder of the Queens County Farm Museum, which is on acreage that was once part of Creedmoor Hospital, president of the Joint Belrose Business District Development Corporation, and chairman of the board of the Northeast Queens Republican Club. I think we've gone completely derailed here from where the direction should be. We should not be selling off any of this land. Creedmoor Hospital was created in the early 20th century, and it was for a purpose that has not gone away. The reason we're having all of this stuff, these horrible crime incidents in Manhattan, like people being pushed onto subway tracks, people being set on fire. These are not acts of evil people randomly. They are mentally unstable people. Creedmoor Hospital had 7,000 beds, and now there's only a few hundred left. We need to revamp these buildings and reopen them. We've lost thousands of seats on Long Island from the mental hospitals there. Creedmoor is one of the few facilities still intact, and I think strongly that we need to save these acres. And also, these buildings are historic. They're colonial revival, Romanesque revival, and I've submitted 36 pages of documents to the Landmarks Commission. The whole campus south of Union Turnpike should be declared a historic district, and we should gut and rebuild these buildings and use them for mental patients. That's my position.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Carl Adair. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
I'm ready to speak.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Father Carl Adair of the Episcopal Mission in Sunnyside. I'm a member of Queen's Power and a member of the CAC. Until this past September, I was the assistant rector at Zion Episcopal Church in Douglaston, just a mile or so north of the Creedmoor site. So I know this area well, and I'm sensitive to the questions that are being raised by local residents, many of whom I have served and love. I'm also here to speak, however, on behalf of the New Yorkers who don't live in the immediate area, in strong support of this plan as a step toward addressing the housing emergency that plagues all 5 boroughs and every part of Queens. The question I keep hearing from people in my neighborhood is, can I afford to stay here in New York? How long? My wife and I are having an active conversation about whether or not we could afford to have a second child and have that child grow up in New York. The answer is leaning towards no. We've already seen the exodus of 200,000 Black and Brown New Yorkers in the last few years because of the affordability crisis. And we need urgent action at no fewer than 2,775 units. So I'm standing in support of that part of the plan as it stands. I want to say that I'm encouraged by the presentation of the DEIS detailing the environmental effects and potential mitigations. In this area of Western Queens, I'm thinking about Long Island City, which I can see out of my window here. We've seen the development of 19,000 units of housing, but because that development was driven by private developers, the units actually drove up local rents, and many of those units are completely unaffordable to people who have been living here their whole lives. Furthermore, because there was no centralized plan for that development in Long Island City, I put tremendous stress on local infrastructure, and anytime there's a heavy rain, raw sewage flows into the East River, which is not, I'm sure that was not part of the marketing to those luxury condos, that there'd be raw sewage outside your window. So I am speaking as a person who's very familiar with the disruption that irresponsible development can make. I and my neighbors live with that every day. To me, this plan represents an alternative approach, clearly thought out, holistically conceived, And I'm excited for this to be something that future generations will look back on with pride as a new neighborhood to serve the people of New York. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Veronica Hussein Spencer. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next 5 speakers are Peter Dykman, Sergio Reingold, J.M., Jeffrey Connors, and Joby Jacob. Please prepare to speak. And as a reminder, please begin by stating your first and last name and affiliation for the record. The next speaker is Peter Dykman. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Sergio Reingold. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is J.M. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Jeffrey Connors. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Joby Jacob. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
I'm ready.
Great.
My
Your
name
minute starts now.
my name is Joby Jacob from Eastern Queens Greenway, and I'm a resident of Hollis Hills. I'm not going to speak in favor or against. I just want to talk about a related issue. The Motor Parkway Trail, located near the proposed new development, is a 20-foot wide path that draws users away from the traffic for running, walking, and biking. It's part of an extensive network that stretches from Winchester Boulevard to Coney Island. The city has set aside $40 million to bridge gaps in this trail for local communities to the west of the trail. If this new community of 3,000 units is built, demand for the use of the motor parkway will increase. Despite persistent requests from community members to extend the trail further east over the years, no progress has been made. Expanding the greenway is crucial for enhancing access to parkland for children in the area and residents of both existing communities and this proposed new development. The new path should be spacious and provide a similar experience to the existing Motor Parkway Trail. Ultimately, it should connect to and improve the existing trail to benefit the surrounding communities. I would encourage any plan to include extending that greenway access. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next 5 speakers will be Michael O'Keefe, Zakaria Kazmi, Juliet Hansen, Suzanne Peretz, and Miriam Chavez. Please prepare to speak. As a reminder, please begin by stating your first and last name and affiliation for the record. The next speaker is Michael Great. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay, my name is Mike O'Keefe. I'm the president of the Creedmoor Civic Association in Belrose, a member of Community Board 13, and a member of the Queens Community Board 13 Land Use Subcommittee on the Creedmoor Mixed Use Project. I'd like to comment on the executive summary of the draft environmental impact study. On page 47, it was stated that of the 28 intersections within the project that were analyzed, 13 would not be able to be mitigated during the weekday AM peak hour. 10 would remain unmitigated during the weekday PM hour, and 8 intersections would remain unmitigated during the Saturday peak hour. So what I think that means is that despite any of the best efforts, that the density of the traffic would be such that it would be impossible to make those intersections function normally. Regarding parking, even aside from the 900 on-street parking spaces, an estimated 241 cars would have to be parked outside the quarter-mile radius of the project. I can tell you that parking is already a big problem around here. That people park on hydrants and too close to intersections, which jeopardizes safety. Sadly, more and more people are already paving over their front yards for parking. These and other factors indicate that the proposed project is way too big. I don't know how the low-density alternative described on page 45 was arrived at, but I think that 2,360 residential units is still too big and would not resolve the traffic and parking problems. On page 45, it is stated that the lower density alternative basically would have the same problems that the regular project has. The implication to me seems to be that we may as well go with the regular project because the lower density project wouldn't be much better. To me, I think it points to the fact that the project is just too big. I understand there is a serious shortage of affordable housing, but this project needs to strike a balance between the creation of housing and the well-being of the surrounding community. And the Creedmoor Civic Association supports the plan put forward by Queens Community Board 13. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Zakaria Kazmi. Please let me know when you are ready to speak. The next speaker is Juliet Hansen. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Suzanne Peretz. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Okay, I'm ready to speak.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
I am the Suzanne Peretz, the president of the Rocky Hill Civic Association, which is immediately to the west of and south of this project. This project is too large. As Mike O'Keefe mentioned, the parking overflow will congest the neighborhood. There is a baseball field across the street from the project. When they have their games, they will not be able to park to watch their children play because residents will be parking. The YMCA has 2 small parking lots and they always park outside of the property, and this project is just too dense. They keep saying how there is a desperate need for housing, but if it's going to take until 2040 to complete the project, how are you addressing the immediate problem of needing affordable housing? If you build 1,000 units, as Community Board 13 proposed, you'll have 1,000 units within 2 years. Also, you want to put lots of supportive housing. how about just leaving the buildings as supportive housing the way they were? For years, they supported mentally ill, recovering people. Instead of adding more density, turn it back into a mental health hospital. It's just going to be too congested. And I don't believe the environmental impact study regarding traffic addressed many of the smaller streets around here. I just think it's going to be way too much. And people who feel this is going to resolve the housing crisis are being deluded, because I'm not convinced that they will remain affordable housing. I think developers will get greedy and they will hike the prices up, and then those who need it the most won't even be able to have it. I strongly advise that you go for the smaller project and do it properly. Otherwise, this part of Queens will be ruined because of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Miriam Chavez. Please let me know when you are ready to speak. The next 5 speakers are Minnie Romlal, Lauren Hackman, Ben Turner, Rhonda Kontner, and Walt Costanza. Please prepare to speak. As a reminder, please begin by stating your first and last name and affiliation for the record. The next speaker is Minnie Romlal. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Lauren Hackman. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Ben Turner. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Hi there. My name is Ben Turner, and
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
thanks. My name is Ben Turner. I live in Bayside, and I'm speaking as a private citizen. I'm not speaking in favor of the project per se, though I think it's interesting, and I do think that it's clear that the city needs a lot more housing. But I would like to echo what other people have said regarding the need for connection to the Eastern Queens Greenway, and especially the Vanderbilt Motor Parkway. If we're developing a fairly large area like this, it would seem a good opportunity to design the streets in a more kind of equitable and inclusive way, to include alternative means of transportation like bike routes, and also to provide safe connections to the Vanderbilt Motor Parkway, which is just to the north. That's all I have to say. I'd just like to see better connections to the parkway from this proposed development. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Rhonda Kontner. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
I'm ready to speak.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Contner. I am president of the Royal Ranch Civic Association. I am also the executive secretary for Community Board 13 and a member of Community Board 13 Land Use Subcommittee on Creedmoor. I have lived in this community for 43 years. I wish to add my concerns to the other community members who have already provided testimony. While your committee indicates that you have listened to community input, many of the people who have testified and supported your proposed project are not members of the surrounding community near Creedmoor. Most of the community that lives close to Creedmoor does not support the proposed project for the following reasons. The number of units that you propose to build, 2,775, is too dense for the amount of space you have on the Creedmoor campus. Glen Oaks Village, a co-op development adjacent to the proposed Creedmoor project, has approximately half the amount of housing in twice the amount of acreage. The community, who have expressed what they would like to see through community board statement, indicates they would like 1,000 units built in one phase rather than the 2,775 units in the seven phases you propose from 2027 to 2040. The community has proposed buildings no higher than 3 to 4 stories, which is more in keeping with the surrounding community of 1 to 2 family homes. Instead, you are proposing 4 to 8-story buildings. You also indicate there is transit access through bus lines and the Long Island Railroad. There is no close subway access, which you do acknowledge. The bus lines you suggest are already crowded, and commuting to Manhattan using bus to the subway can take up to 1.5 hours each way. You suggest the Long Island Railroad from Queens Village, which requires a way to get to the station and is $5 to $7 off-peak or peak each way, which may be too expensive for most people. Your proposal to include supportive housing in your project does not take into account there is already supportive housing on the Creedmoor campus, so this would be in addition to that. Recently, there was a murder in the supportive housing, and this community has dealt with the residents of Creedmoor campus for more than 30 years who have been disruptive and dangerous to the surrounding community and requires a disproportionate amount of police enforcement from the 105th Precinct. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Wolf Costanza. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Hello? Can you
Hi,
hear
Wolf.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Hi. My name is Walt Costanza. I'm also speaking briefly on a related project. Two people have spoken already regarding the Vanderbilt Motor Parkway. Longtime cycling and pedestrian advocate. I'm affiliated with an organization called, or a member of an organization called Transportation Alternatives, a member of the Long Island Bicycle Club, a member of the New York Bicycling Coalition, and a member of the National Bike League. The Vanderbilt Motor Parkway is an excellent community resource. As someone mentioned earlier, there's a greenway that continues all the way to Brooklyn and Flushing Meadows Park. And it seems only logical and silly not to include access from this new development to the Vanderbilt Motor Parkway, which ends in Alley Pond Park across the street and down the road just a bit. For a long period of time, we have been campaigning to continue this greenway across the Creedmoor campus as far as we can towards the city line. And I think it would be remiss to not include a portion or an extension of this bikeway as far as you can across the campus that you are now redeveloping. I don't need to take any more time. You can give that to someone else. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next 5 speakers will be Karen Bale, Johnny Kelly, Wilson Chang, Mary Rogers, and Laura Hoffman. Please prepare to speak. As a reminder, please begin by stating your first and last name and affiliation for the record. The next speaker is Karen Bale. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
I'll turn on my video. Okay. Hi.
Hi, your 3 minutes starts now.
Hi, my name is Karen Bale. I'm the president of the Hollis Hill Civic Association. I'm speaking on behalf of my community and myself a touch. So a lot of things I echo in sentiment that many folks said in terms of bus designs and things like that. I'm concerned about this 13-year timeline because it sounds like another Starrett City project. And I'm really writing because I want to express my profound disappointment with the ongoing lack of meaningful dialogue between our city, state, and leadership. Time and time again, we've come back to the table. We started in 2023, hundreds of people on these calls looking for jobs, real estate developers, only to be met with the same empty rhetoric and refusal to genuinely negotiate. Rather than a partnership built on trust and mutual respect, we're repeatedly told the same things, leaving us with little opportunity to discuss real solutions moving forward. And I'm really disheartened that we continuously invest our time in these Zooms only to be met with the same cycle of promises and then ultimately led nowhere. So here we are, months later, years later, right back at square one, negotiating again, achieving nothing. This endless loop of inaction is incredibly frustrating and demoralizing at this point because we need real action and not more meetings where voices are being dismissed. We understand the challenges are complex, but we simply do not have the luxury of spending days in Albany rallying for affordable housing or other vital issues. We're working hard every day to be able to afford in the communities we love and have worked so hard for. But if affordable government-sponsored housing for low-income families is truly a priority, then you have to rethink this project to create a win-win that benefits everyone rather than pushing agendas down people's throats only to serve to erode our trust in leadership. I'm happy to share several suggestions for ways that we can create more affordability without this plan. Our real estate market in New York City is artificially manipulated through a web of restrictive legislations. It hampers growth and affordability. And by over-regulating landlords that maybe small property owners, the government stifles the ability to be able to adapt and invest and provide housing options that actually meet the city's needs. So these over restrictions create a supply shortage, which ultimately drives up costs and worsens affordability for everybody. And then we end up here again with City of Yes and Creedmoor and all this stuff, right? What more do we need to do to be heard? We want real collaborative approaches that put people first and address the needs of the community and foster genuine partnerships, because these are empty promises and our future depends on actions, not words. So let's get over this hamster wheel of bureaucracy and perhaps try and work together to truly create a solution that will benefit our community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Johnny Kelly. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Your 3 minutes
can you
starts now.
Okay, I'm trying to get the video on. All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your
Okay,
3
you don't
minutes
need the
starts
video.
now.
Excuse me. My name is Johnny Kelly, and I am the president of the Casino Park Civic Association. And the thought I would like to share with everybody is the support for the Greenway project, the Motor Parkway. We have this beautiful park bicycle and baby carriage path that's going all the way through Queens, through our park down here at Casino, and it would be foolish not to include it into whatever development comes out of this project. So whatever you guys decide to do, I think you should include the Greenway project and the extension of the motor project. As a civic leader, I strongly suggest that the other civics are listened to. The community board is listened to. This is the community that has been here and will be here. It's their needs, not the needs of maximizing profits for the developers. There's an old saying that harmony is the support of all institutions. And I think that this project should work in harmony with the neighborhood. That the people who are living there, the people who are going to be part of this project should be listened to. And so far as the end product, I don't have no voice in that. That's up to the community. And through our legislator and our politicians, working with the city in a collaborative effort, we can come to something that works. We need affordable housing. We need housing for people who have issues. We need housing for veterans. We need housing for seniors. We need housing for middle-class kids who are just trying to step up on the ladder. We need. But I know you can't give it to us all, but please listen to the community, and whatever you do, include the bike path. Thank you very much. Happy spring, everybody, and God bless America.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Welson Chang. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
I'm ready to speak.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
My name is Wilson Chang. I'm going to speak. At this point, I'm basically opposing this plan, primarily because I think the energy part of the DEIS needs to be reviewed again, especially with the expansion of artificial intelligence. The energy usage probably is going to be a lot more than what you anticipated. And it could also, especially with the all-electric building, everyone converting over to all-electric cars, everything going on more technology-wise. I don't think the energy needs that you guys are estimating is just enough, and we would need to at least double or triple the capacity that you're estimating. Thank you very much. That was good.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Mary Rogers. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Laura Hoffman. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay. Laura Hoffman, I'm a concerned grandmother. Although I don't live in the area of the Creedmoor site, 4 of my grandchildren do. My son and his wife moved to the area only months ago so that my grandchildren could live in a cleaner, healthier environment with less traffic and healthy parks. So it's upsetting to learn that such a massive development is occurring so where they live. I oppose the project in its current form. From what I've read thus far, the project will indeed have significant impacts on the communities, parks, and environment surrounding it. Thus, it will negatively affect my grandchildren's health and well-being. And having been intimately involved in the seed growth process in my own community, I'm all too aware of the failures, misuse, and deals that go with it. The current government regulations and processes are not nearly enough to prevent significant exposures to dust, traffic, not so affordable housing, and the cost to communities hosting major projects. If the project does move forward, I urge all who are involved to do better than what's required of them so that the surrounding community is affected as little as possible. A robust air and traffic monitoring must be in place, and its results should be transparent and available to the community. Trucks should have a robust cleaning program so that the dust and debris are not emitted in the air and dragged through the streets. and a robust dust control program should be in place to protect human health. Extra care needs to happen when remediating the power plant that's on the site. The historical significance of the site needs to be preserved in a meaningful way, and infrastructure must meet the community need. Simply put, please do better than what's expected and treat the community like your family member lives there. I expect to submit further comments in writing. But it's disheartening to hear that the ESD disregarded the local community board recommendations, and the ESD should respect the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next four speakers will be Kathy Lotto, Abru Hussein, John Nuzzi, and Edward Goitis. Please prepare to speak. As a reminder, please begin by stating your first and last name and affiliation for the record. The next speaker is Kathy Lotto. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Abru Hussein. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is John Nuzzi. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Hi. All
Hi.
right. Good
Your
evening.
3 minutes starts now.
My name is John Nizzi, and my family business has been located in Belrose since 1988. I have friends and family in the community, so I'm speaking on behalf of them as well. The development plans that I've seen and studied that's been released, it plays more like a fantasy, and really, it's not realistic. I think it's overambitious. It's going to lead to a lot of issues in the surrounding community, some of which has already been mentioned previously to me speaking. You know, the traffic, the environmental issues, the way of life that might be disturbed because Belrose is a quiet community, and I don't think this is built for Belrose at all. And it seems like it's a project that it might be better suited somewhere else. I just don't think it's the place to be in our town. And by forcing it and trying to fit it in, and it's going to come off, you know, as something that people might not be approving of down the line. You know, no one's going to be happy with any of the plans. I think from my standpoint, you know, the community, and I have a pretty good gauge of where people think as far as how much they love their area and how much Belrose means to them. I think it's not something that we find would be helpful or will benefit from anything, you know, coming from the, you know, the housing, and it's going to cause too much congestion, traffic, and people want a quiet way of life in this area, and that's why they decided to buy a house here and start a family. It's because it's not like other areas of Queens. So I think you have to respect that. And by, you know, trying to get this plan pushed, you know, I think you need to get the approval of the community, because just throwing it in here and sliding these plans in, it's going to make for a difficult situation. And you know, I'm in most agreement with everyone that's been opposed to this. I'm interested to see how this comes about, like the sizes of the apartments and the scale of it. Like it's all good on paper, but when in reality, it could be more difficult than what the development team here is leading on. And you know, schools and fire department, hospitals, police. You know, there's a lot to think about, and you know, I think the community is better off not having this in their area. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Edward Goitis. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Hello.
Hello. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Hey, my name is Edward Goitis, and I'm a resident of Hollis Hills. I strongly agree with Arlene Schlesinger, James Trent, and Karen Bale. Creedmoor should be a state-of-the-art psychiatric facility because the demand for that care is higher than ever. When speaking to any doctors in the psychiatric field, any nurses, the police department, there is an ever-increasing demand and there's no beds. The beds are diminishing. The outpatient facilities, you've taken patients in need of mental health, you've switched them from inpatient to outpatient. The outpatient facilities are horrific. I have 2 of them as tenants of mine in my commercial buildings, and they are the most inefficient organizations ever. They don't take care of the needs of the patients, and we need the people who are specialists in mental health, the healthcare workers, not politicians, not real estate developers, to make that call. We need to keep this land reserved for anyone in need in New York State. This is not a democratic process, and you're not listening to the needs of the community. As we all know, New York State Empire Development Agency did a horrific job at Belmont. They failed to listen to the concerns of not only the community, but they failed to listen to the concerns of the employees of the MTA, the engineers and the planners. They spent $110 million of taxpayer dollars to put up a full-time station to benefit 6 people, but also to benefit the developers who were the biggest, political contributors. This is taxpayer dollars. This is land that the citizens are paying for those in need, and it's not to enrich real estate developers. And that's all this is doing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Just a reminder that the option to sign up to speak ends at 7:45 p.m. I'll now circle back to the top of the list and invite participants who did not get a chance to speak but that registered. The next speaker is Eric Hutchinson. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Philip Mitropoulos. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
I am ready.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Listening to everyone comment, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm a neighbor, born and raised in Queens, Douglaston, Queens, nearby. I also happen to work on the grounds of Creedmoor, providing services to not-for-profit agencies, providing services to the mentally ill. It's tough to do anything with those buildings, really. They take so much money and so much renovation to try to do anything to restore them. That really is, hopefully, one way out is to get them demolished, which I think alone will be a challenge. Development is very important. Controlled development is very important. Listening to the community is of the utmost importance. That's all I think. Disagree. One of my comments earlier has been, you can't deny the car. The car is here for a while. It's not getting replaced. If you cut parking short, you cut access short, it's going to hurt the entire community. You got to improve public transportation as well. There's a lot nearby, but it's impossible to get to. And certainly scattered city bikes or scooters are not the solution. So there's still a lot more to talk about. There's a lot more to review, but you got to listen to the community as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. The next speaker is Mark McMillan. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Paul Buciolano. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Rhonda Paulin. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is William Chuber. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Veronica Hussein Spencer. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Peter Dykman. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Sergio Reingud. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is J.M. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Jeffrey Connors. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Zakaria Kazmi. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Juliet Hansen. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Miriam Chavez. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Minnie Ramlal. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Lauren Hackman. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Mary Rogers. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Kathy Lotto. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Abru Hussein. Please let me know when you're ready to speak. The next speaker is Angela Castellano. Please let me know when you're ready to speak.
Ready.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Angela Castellano. I am the co-president of the Lost Communities Civic Association. I oppose the current plan, and I endorse the alternate plan put forward by the Queens Community Board 13. Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no remaining speakers at this time, the verbal comment portion of tonight's public hearing continuation has concluded. As noted earlier, comments may also be submitted in writing after tonight's hearing via email to creedmooreis@esd.ny.gov or sent via U.S. Postal Service to Empire State Development, attention Vanessa Calazer, 655 3rd Avenue, 4th floor, New York, New York, 10017. Comments must be received before the end of the public comment period, which is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, April 18th. The time is now 7:43 p.m. This public hearing continuation has now concluded. Thank you all again for joining us tonight.
Thanks all. Have a good night.